Now I should put little Bonnie Bon back on, but I couldn't hear. It sounded like I was in an igloo. Or them things like when you were kids and you get under that little colorful thing with all the children in the school, in the class, in PE. That's what it sounded like. Like shh. Okay, so it says why men and or women are drawn to believers initially. And it says we have strong faith and conviction, clear communication and articulation, and willingness to address things directly. That is a combination that is full of power. It's a very powerful combination. And a lot of men and or women are attracted to that because it feels real and grounded. It's different from surface level interactions, and it signals loyalty, depth, and purpose. So that is going to be what a lot of our first few videos for these next 3 days are going to be about. The whole surface level interaction and how some of us believers end up, when it comes to this temptation, deceit, deception, and manipulation, emotional manipulation, how we take all of those things from a surface level and create a whole lifestyle with somebody. And this isn't just women. This is also men. My brother's a believer. And he has the same problems. He is now single. I might call him or he might call. And on a good day, he'll call us. And guess what? He called us and it's a good day because he done think he done found the love of his life. So now he's happy and has a reason to call the fam. I do the same thing though. I could be calling myself in a relationship and now I'm more than happy to, willing and excited to call the fam, to talk to my grandma about what So You Be Habit. But see, here's the key truth. Being attracted to a man or a woman with standards is not the same as being ready to live up to them. And a lot of times, us as people, there's two ways you can go. And us as folks, believers, we get stuck in them. And this is where condemnation comes from on our own behalf. This is where we get to fighting demons. We sometimes realize that with these standards and the people being attracted to them and not being ready to live up to them, there's two different routes. You have the depressed and silent, slow route, or you have the fast, angry, eager, and quarrelsome route. Either way, both of them are manipulative. You don't want to take either one of those routes. And that is the routes that us as human beings, men and women, we see no other way. We see no other option. Even before we get into stuff, we always understand. You know how they always be like, have a plan A and B? For a lot of us, like believers, our plan B isn't necessarily to have infinite solutions to every problem. It's to evade the problem, to evacuate or avoid the problem. That's our plan B if plan A didn't fall through. So now we're just living with this stuff, piled on top of us. And that's why I said these next 3 days are going to be about these surface level interactions, because we are now becoming surfacely inclined with so many different things, people, businesses, all types of stuff, partnerships. And we become suicidal dang near and depressed or aggressive and hypersexual when they don't go our way, or when we see that, and I can't say our way because us as believers, we don't want them to go our way. We want them to go God's way. We want them to go the Lord's way. But we end up getting in the way of the Lord by being upset, mad, angry, or sad about someone else not being ready to live up to these standards just because they were attracted to our standard. And so we take that hard. We take that personal. We actually take it so personal that we become, feeling like, not even feeling, because we don't think about it, but we take it so personal that we don't realize we're actually angering our Father God. And if we could see our brother's face, he probably would be like, whoa, Nelly, watch yourself. Do you realize what's happening? I don't think you know what's happening. Like, if I could save you, I would, but he knows all. Us being petty and upset about stuff like that, and then living our lives according to the way that we felt, that letdown, or that person not picking themselves up, we become our own God in this situation. We either become our own God, or and when we become our own God, that's where we become furious. Or we become very sad and depressed and want to be Jesus so bad. So we start taking it out on ourselves because we couldn't be WWJD. No, you can't be that. You can try to teach someone that, instill that in someone's head, but you can't be that. None of us down here is Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the King of Nazareth. Like, none of us. And so we're messing up. So in the beginning, they admire it. Once things get serious, they feel measured by it. What changes when the relationship gets serious? Question mark. When feelings deepen, your values stop being impressive and start becoming accountability. So when you ask questions, address behavior, speak on things that don't align, and if you're a believer, we're always going to ask questions. Now, yes, the Bible tells us not to lean on our own understanding. So we will go to the Bible. When we go to the Bible, we're going to come to our partner or our parents or our friends or a neighbor, and we're going to talk about and maybe even ask certain questions when it comes to what we have read, what we know. And that right there can also, like I said, become less impressive to someone and becoming more, okay, you're pushing that accountability on me. Control. Because we are starting to push accountability on someone. We also will address behavior as believers, because we know as believers, we know we got a WWJD ourselves all throughout the day. So we want that for others. That's the asking question part. We also know we have to address behaviors. So we know that we have to take accountability for our own behaviors. So we either already expect or we are expecting our partner or our mother or our friends or our children's or whatever to also address their behaviors or others. Conversation, really. Also, we like to speak on things that don't align. We like to speak on things that don't align within our lives, our own lives. We also might speak on things, especially if you have a partner, or if you live with your parents. Your parents will tell you, and sometimes your children can, with no harm. It might feel like harm because the truth hurts sometimes, but sometimes people can speak on things that don't align, and it's not gossip. They're doing it because it's righteous judgment. They're prudent. So they actually have rightful judgment. They can judge right from wrong accordingly. Especially now when you come to the relationship dynamic, man and woman, speaking on things that don't align. That actually in a relationship should not be a problem. No, you shouldn't be evil, envious, jealous, have anger or upset or rude about anything or disrespectful when you're speaking on things that don't align. But that is actually something that should be done in any sort of two people, sort of congregation. If it's your parents, if it's your partner, if it's your siblings, if it's a job, like, you kind of want to speak on things that don't align. But we're also going to talk too about how things can come off the wrong way. If you see how I look, I'm not saying that I look the most manliest right now, but sometimes I do. I'm not saying I look the most feminine right now. Sometimes I do, but I don't more than I do. And that's just how I was born. I was born looking just like this. So when I say certain things or I make certain like facial expressions and like, it can come off wrong. It can actually, and if something comes off wrong, it's wrong. Because if somebody looked at me like that, I wouldn't do anything, because as a believer, I believe I'd probably just ask for the forgiveness for both of us, because Lord, I'm not so sure of what I could be capable to do, and Lord, I know they ain't sure of what they're capable of, what they are doing. Okay, so we ask for forgiveness in those moments, but we do have to realize that asking questions, addressing behavior, and speaking on things that don't align aren't a problem. But when somebody also isn't ready to take accountability, and you're not watching what you say, your opinion becomes the say all, be all, the overall, then you start to realize, why can't I stop? You just are talking and talking and talking. And probably the only thing in the world that would stop you is the Mary J. Wanna. Paying attention and comprehension is actually something very, very, very deep. And that's why in the Bible it tells us, oh, where's the scripture? It talks about the adversary roaring about, roaming around about like a lion for its prey, seeking its prey to devour. And it tells us, though, in one of the verses, it's a comparison. Oh, it's in one of my journals. I think it's in this one right here, actually. It's in one of my journals, because right now I got them other verses up that we're going to be looking at real fast. Oh, I just wanted some Popeyes for some reason. Some Popeyes chicken. Sounds so good. Yep, the Lord cut off my food supply. Food stamps. Ain't getting them no more. I might reapply, but I'm going to just take my time. Because, sometimes, like, you can get on the website and see that it doesn't show an account that you used to have food stamps or cash assistance or insurance through the state, right? But I've been getting on there and it keeps saying closed. Like, it's not going away. And I'm like, bro, get off that. Like, because y'all going to try to be in my business. I'm just playing. I ain't gonna lie, though, on the application. But it's just like, can you close? If it's closed, can you take this out of the whole system right now? So give me another chance, a clean slate. Like, but, oh, where is it at? Oh, it's over here, it's over here, it's over here. I know it's in here. Okay, here it is. He said, pay attention. This is Matthew 10:16. And I know I wrote it down, but I'm just going to go to the Bible and open it up. I'll be putting all my little markers up in there. I need to take this out, but all my little things so that I can see where I'm at in the word. And so I can just open up straight to it, because I don't know who lied to us and told us that we have to remember this whole thing front and back. Like we were all just 4.0 A+ scholar students. But I know one thing. I know where I'm going by memory and by heart when I got these marks on there. You said John chapter 1 verse 18. Real fast. Matthew 10:16. And out of all books I've ever had, I feel like the Bible is probably the most sturdiest book ever. Like this book done been through it. And it's still going like the little engine that could, the big engine that could. Okay, 10:16. I'm sorry, let me quit beating on this. Pay attention. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. So be as prudent as snakes and as harmless as doves. So, and that's that's chapter 10 in Matthew, verse 16. Now, it says, pay attention. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves, so be as prudent. What does prudent mean? I remember when I seen this word, I wrote it on the sidelines. Prudent. It's right here. I put it on the side, right? Oops. And it says, so look, prudent means to be, and I like to read the definition of a word and then literally replace that word for the full definition. to get the full understanding. You know, because that's that America stuff. Etymology. Yeah, just using a different word instead of actually using the words, because the different word, this new word, means the same thing as all these little words. But see, this is why some people are deceived. So to be prudent means a person who is wise, discerning, and exercises foresight to make godly decisions, often acting as stewards of their actions and resources. So if it says, pay attention, exclamation mark, I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves, like sheep among wolves. So be as a person who is wise, discerning, and exercises foresight to make godly decisions, often acting as a steward of your own actions and resources. So remember when I was talking about God not coming down and just, this too shall pass. Close your eyes. I won't let you see this. I won't let you see this. But when this passes, give me 3 days and I will let you walk. Now, I ain't gonna lie, when I was in a coma in my car accident, that's how I felt. I felt like that. Like, and there was times where I used to say, now, if I could have anything in this world, it would be to go back into a coma. And that wasn't suicidal. It wasn't depressing. It was literally like, bruh, that was just sleep. People be like, what'd you see? Oh, yeah, you know, certain stuff. But sleep. I was knocked out. It was peace. It was peace. It was like peace. It was like it was literally like a placeholder of peace, still being on this earth, knowing you're still here, but you're not dead. Now, of course, you didn't know you were still here. This is the thought. This is the aftermath thought of it all. And it's just like, wow, to know that I could just lay here in solitude, not make no mistakes, be sleeping, still breathing. That's easy. Can't I go to heaven like that? But God gives us these testimonies for a reason. That's not my story. I made it out. I made it out of something that most people either can't speak ever again, and not most. People in my accident that have severely fractured, shattered, and completely fractured their spinal cord, they're paralyzed or dead. Vegetables or dead. Can't speak or dead. In a wheelchair for the rest of their life or dead. I still have my cane, wheelchair, and walker. But I need them as needed. Not something that I'm confined to and can't speak or use my limbs. So it's definitely something too that I like to do what I do. What it is that I do, what God has given me time, because now I don't work because I became I'm a part of developmental disability. It's where you develop a disability before you turn 22. I got my accident in 2019. I was born in the year 2000, so of June. So I was 19 years old when that happened. So he said to be as prudent as what do you say, as a snake or a dove? Which one did he say? Be as prudent as a snake and as harmless as doves. So as prudent as a snake. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of had me a little choked up for a second. Pay attention. I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves. So be as prudent as snakes and as harmless as doves. And at first, when it said as prudent as snakes, and I was reading the definition, a person who's wise, discerning, exercise foresight, makes godly decisions, often acting as their own steward. That sounds, like Jesus, right? So why would they compare the prudent to a snake, which is compared to the adversary, right? The serpent. That's why. They're literally saying, the adversary talks a good game. The adversary knows what it shouldn't know. Like, the adversary is smart. You need to be as smart as the adversary. You need to be as smart as the enemy. And as harmless as a dove. You need to have the smarts. You need to do that what's that? Double Dutch. You're not the jumper, boo. You're not the jumper. The jumper is the worldly people. Let the worldly people jump around your ropes. But we can't keep letting the worldly people be the ones that's throwing us in that double dutch. And they get to hitting us with that one, then while they're still, no, 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 no. Absolutely not. All I see right here is unclean spirits. That's absolutely not. Every kind of disease and weakness. Absolutely not. That is exactly what we are doing when we are actually willingly letting this deception, temptation, and emotional manipulation draw us believers away from God, and specifically away from what we already knew God had planned for us. Can't keep doing it. Can't keep doing it. Now, we're in the last days, and it talks about how in the last days, deception is going to be at an all-time high. That is literally going to be everybody's objective. Decepticon. Everybody wants to be a Decepticon. What did he look like? I want to know what he looked like, because that's a Transformer. I'm going to look him up. He was probably black. All black with a little bit of yellow, gold. Trimmed in not chrome, but more of a dusty silver kind of gray. Not like chrome silver, but a silvery gray. You know what I'm talking about? Like a metallic gray. That is dope and all, but I rebuke you in the name of the Lord, Satan. Now, where is this at? Matthew, this was verse, okay, this is chapter 10 still. I don't know. I told y'all I just started seeing something about unclean, drive out authority, unclean spirits, and heal every kind of disease and weakness. These are the names of the 12 emissaries. Okay. So now after it says to be as prudent as snakes and as harmless as doves, God is letting us know straight up, and this is also Matthew, so I think that's a lot to do with Jesus. They're letting us know straight up, like, hey, you need to be just as smart as the devil is. And don't feel bad about it, because I'm giving you the right. I'm giving you the righteous account and decree to be just as academically swift, smart, and precise as the adversary. I need you to, brethren, sister, children. We gotta really get stiff. What'd he say? Now this is verse 17. Be on guard, for there will be people who will hand you over to the local Sanhedrins and flog you in their synagogues. So a Sanhedrin. Where's my oh, it should be in here. So this right here is about how, the adversary has a name. I call him the adversary. But Satan is actually the worldly way and version of the adversary. Satan is actually the people that the adversary is working through. So the people here on earth that you can talk to, shake hands with, that's where the name Satan comes from. The devil is him himself, but he works through a lot and with a lot of people. A Sanhedrin is the Jewish religious court. So it said, be on guard, for there will be people who will hand you over to the local court and flog you in their synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as a testimony to them and to the Goyim. Did I put that pencil? Last night. Ooh, that just made me think about that. Okay. My bad. It's I hope and pray I don't have, okay. Gentile. Okay, so let's start back from 16. So it says, pay attention. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. So basically I'm sending you out like angels among demons. So be as prudent or virgins among vampires and villains. So be as prudent as snakes. So be as prudent. So be as wise, discerning, and be able to exercise foresight to make godly decisions, often acting as your own steward of your actions, as the snakes do, as the serpent does, as the adversary does, and as harmless as doves, as harmless as God's most sensitive, soft, and meek creation. Be on guard, for there will be people who will hand you over to the local court and flog you in their synagogues on my and flog you in the synagogues. Oh yeah. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as a testimony to them and to the Gentiles. But when they bring you to trial, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. When the time comes, you will be given what you should say. For it will not be just you speaking, but the Spirit of your heavenly Father speaking through you. Oh, and then it says a brother will betray his brother to death, and a father his child, and children will turn against their parents and have them put to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but whoever holds out till the end will be preserved from harm. When you are persecuted in your own town, run away to another. Yes, indeed, I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. Oh, that's a promise right there. That's a promise right there. Because he told you, he said, if they start to persecute you like they did me in your own town, run. Go to the next town. But then he said, yes, indeed, I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns with an S of Israel before the Son of Man comes. That's actually a promise, and that's a good promise, because you don't want to keep having to run because everybody in the world everything is just so desolate. Hopefully the Son of Man comes in time, in due time. Well, he is going to come in time. He's coming in his time. If you hearing me. But this is so crazy. And then they're talking about the betrayal of the people. And y'all, this is what we're talking about as believers, because we're going to be honest. We're going to be realistic here. Relationships is a thing that a lot of us are into. Believer or not, that does not take away our desire. No, we might not be desireful to have a good sex and a good hump and hunch and lurch and search. That might not be what we're looking for. If you are, you're not a true believer. You're a follower of the world and of the your sexual desires. But some of us, yes, we have thought, and for the longest we thought, why is this in the back of my pillow? What in the world? A twist tie. I mean, that ain't even a twist tie. That is one of them things. And that's heavy duty. Why is that in there? Maybe I need to put this. Oh, I wonder if I can make a thing, like a dog tag that says WWJD. And then I could just keep this on freaking forever. But then my dog tag will probably come off. I will have to be able to make the dog tag with another one of these. Is there another one in there? Let me get right. Anyways, the good Lord, he'll take care of it. So it's crazy though that we're talking about the deceit and the deception and all of that, but that's what I wanted to talk about. That's what we're talking about. These whole 7 series. Sorry, I'm getting real passionate. That's what we're talking about. These whole 7 series, honestly, regarding deception. And how us feeling like that's what the goal is. Yeah, we about to recognize, especially in the last days, The Bible talks about how that's not the goal in the last days, boo-boo. And you might not make it to heaven, boo-boo, if that's what you're worried about, boo-boo. Okay, what you need to be worried about is telling Bobo, Lolo, and Ho-Ho about the good news. So when we're asking questions, addressing behavior, and speaking on things that don't align, they might hear an unbeliever or a lukewarm believer. So somebody that's kind of straddling both sides of the fence, but they're not a strong, stiff back, God-fearing, stricken believer. Okay? That person is going to hear and feel you saying, I'm failing. I'm not good enough. I never was enough. No, you're right. I don't know the Bible. I'm being corrected. Oh, I'm being corrected. Even if that's not our intention. That's why we hear things like, what do I do right? You always want to argue. I'm not perfect. Who really reads the whole Bible and just does what it says? There's no such thing as sin no more. We were born into sin, which means we will die in it. We will die sinners. Okay. Those are defensive responses, not necessarily accurate descriptions of yourself. Okay? Those are defensive responses of the unbeliever or the lukewarm, haughty spirit. That's not an accurate description necessarily. That's not necessarily. I'm not saying we're all perfect, but that's not necessarily an accurate description of you. Don't let people try and tell you because you are a believer and you live accordingly to the ways that God and Jesus has asked us to live and believe, that you are argumentative, that you are controlling, that you are manipulative, that you are a narcissist, and that you are crazy. Don't even do it. And they can think that all they want. Take your butt on, like you said, to that next town over yonder. And don't go over there to that next town over yonder looking for somebody to accept your crazy correctiveness and all that other stuff, because they ain't going to accept it neither. They're just mere human beings that don't understand your divine power that was given by something that's not even human anymore. So, and wasn't human. I don't know if God has ever been human, but I know Jesus isn't human anymore. So they're not going to understand that. But that doesn't mean to stop spreading the good news or to become bitter or hard-hearted, because then now you are no longer the believer. And God does forgive. And, you know, we have chances as long as he is giving them to us. But we don't want to go there. So don't let anybody take us there. That doesn't mean to stop living your life. But don't let anybody take you there, because you won't be able to spread the good news. And that's initially what God wants us to do. Of course, save our soul. But he wants us to want to help save others' souls. So here we go. Let's get to the meat and the potatoes. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it pattern. This part matters a lot. Because we sometimes get passionate. We're human beings, even though we're new creations, we're still human. So we still can and might say things in a certain way that we shouldn't. Or we might even bring up things and speak on things that honestly we probably shouldn't. Which is why, though, too, in the word is said for us, what was that, Matthew 10:16, to pay attention and to be, because we're going to be amongst wolves. So to be as prudent as snakes and as harmless as doves. Oh, and it also says before that, a soothing tongue is a tree of life. This is Proverbs 15:4. A soothing tongue is a tree of life, but when it twists things, it breaks the spirit. It also says, Proverbs 15:7, the lips of the wise spread knowledge, not so the hearts of the fools. Proverbs 15:10, discipline is severe for the one who leads the way. Oh, discipline is severe for the one who leaves the way, and whoever can't stand correction will die. It also says, Romans 16:17, I urge you, brothers, to watch out for those who cause divisions and put snares alongside the teaching in which you have already been trained. Keep away from them. And it also says Proverbs 27:10. Don't abandon a friend who is also a friend of your father. Don't enter your brother's house on the day of your calamity. Which that would basically mean don't enter your brother's house if you're having a bad day. If you started off with a bad day, just rest. Rest. God wants us men and us women to rest. Better a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. Because then too, you got to think about it. Like my neighbor next door, I could have a little attitude. Ugh, whatever. Thanks. You picked up my mail for me. Thanks. But let's say I go over to Bobo or Lolo's house and I'm doing all that. And they live on the whole south side of the city. I live on the north side. That's kind of messed up. And that's why some people be getting they blocks knocked off. I'm not saying that that's a good thing or that they should or that's the right thing. I'm just saying that is why some people find themselves in severe, what did he call it? Severe discipline. And then one more. Proverbs 14:15. One who doesn't think believes every word, but the cautious understands his steps. Oh, and Proverbs 15:1-2. A gentle response deflects fury, but a harsh word makes tempers rise. The tongue of the wise presents knowledge well, but the mouth of a fool spews out folly. Folly is a lack of good sense, judgment, or foresight. Me personally, I just can't stand American etymology because I would rather to read it like this. But the mouth of a fool spews out a lack of good sense, judgment, or foresight, aka folly. Because I don't understand what folly means if I don't know what folly means. Some of us are slow. I'm a little slow. That was what the live was about too, y'all, on Facebook. That is not why I deleted my Facebook, but I did delete my Facebook. But like they said, when they get to persecute you in your town, in your hometown, run. That's what I did. I ran, okay? Because I was like, whoa there, buddy. Dang, like, hey, they was on me. And then the lady was like, you know what? I feel bad. You might really be on the spectrum. She was like, the spectrum goes from 1 to 6 or like 1 to 5 or 1 to 4. And she was like, I don't know, you're seeming like you're kind of at a 2. She was like, so now I really do feel bad. And I was like, girl, you would have been knew that that's what we've been talking about in my lives, boo. If you have been Jeff with me, you don't Jeff with me. You only been around because of the people that been dying and how I've been doing my Bible studies, and you used to know me as a stripper. And to you felt like, I don't know, you felt however you felt in that. I'm not an evildoer, so I don't understand how evil-hearted people feel or what they seek. So I don't know, but I do understand why you got off to it and why you sent me a friend request. Even though when I looked at our messages, the last thing that was said to me was, and when I see you BITCH, I'm going to beat your ASS. ASS never beat, but like God said, what did he say? He will protect those people. What did he say? He said, but when they bring you trial, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. When the time comes, you will be given what you should say. For it will not be just you speaking, but the Spirit of the Heavenly Father speaking through you. And then it says, everyone will hate you because of me, but whoever holds out till the end will be preserved from harm. Okay, so, oh yeah, we got past the I'm not perfect. You always want to argue those defensive responses. And then, so we're now going to jump to our personal selves, right? And our personal selves would be, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, pattern. This part matters because we might be, and I might be, speaking truth, being logical, and trying to resolve things. But it can feel like, but if it feels like to somebody, or it can and it does feel like correction instead of curiosity, accountability without softness, or observation without affirmation, then it can come across as constant evaluation instead of partnership, even if you are right. So now we're going to jump into the biblical principles. Proverbs 15:1. Did we read that already? Yes, we did. I had that written down already. Now I have it typed. So it says biblical principles. Here. A gentle answer turns away wrath. Proverbs 15:1. A gentle response. A gentle response deflects fury. That's my mouth. My mouth's starting to get a little tied up, a little jammed up. Okay, wait, what? A gentle answer turns away wrath. A gentle answer. Let's underline gentle. We're going to underline gentle in purple. My daughter's favorite color is purple. And the Lord has a lot to do with purple and blue, which blue is my favorite color. A gentle answer turns away wrath. So we're going to underline gentle. Gentle. Truth plus tone equals how it's received. And we'll actually go a little bit deeper into that because I'm sitting here looking at this like question mark, question mark, question mark. And that's probably my problem. Oops. So, because remember we did say we're gonna be focusing on these for the next 3 days, like the specific subject or chapter. So this specific one is going to be for the next 3 days. So we will actually come back and re-advise as far as the stuff regarding truth and tone and how it's received. Because I'll be looking at one aspect and not the other, and then how it's received. I don't look at both. So I got to figure out the understanding of, you know what, and let me do that without the pencil because I ain't scared. I don't got to lie and hide the fact that I need to question that. Not question it, but I need to understand like the operation of putting truth and tone together because I only understand doing one. You know, I'm like, for me, I'm like, oh, if I got truth, oh, I got it all. Can't nobody, you know what I'm saying, step on my toes and tell me what I'm saying is wrong. So I don't be worried about the tone. And then I definitely don't end up being even giving a care in the world about how it's received. Okay? So then it says the deeper spiritual dynamic. You said something very important, and somebody might say they don't know how to follow the Bible, right? That's not small. That's foundational. That covers a very, very small percent of ground. But that's very profound. That's foundational. Not sensational. Foundational.